My mission on the planet is to help people live a 1% life. 1% joy, success, family, love, fulfillment, using their gifts, making great money.
Meet Kelly Roach, who grew from a cheerleader to a leader, and she's one of the only female founders that built her company from nothing to 8 figures with zero debt and no investors.
I have solutions for businesses from inception, just getting started, all the way to exit.
Have you ever wondered how to make $1 million with social media? I'm Matt Bellman and this is $1 Million Creators. I mean, it's called $1 Million Creators. I also want to get sense of a revenue. So like, let's say if I take 300 customers, $30,000 to $85,000, that's $2,500, $7,000 a month, which is $5,000 on average times 300 is 151.5 million times 12, 18 million. Welcome Kelly Roach to the show. Kelly is one of the only female founders that built her company from nothing to 8 figures with zero debt and no investors. She's a former NFL cheerleader, a Fortune 500 executive, a best-selling author, a top 20 podcast host, and has been featured in ABC, NBC, Fox, and Forbes, and scored number 287 on the Inc. 5000, became the Stevie Awards Women of the Year, the Titan CEO of the Year, and the Inc.'s Best in Business. That's a lot. And today she's actually empowering people to achieve financial and lifestyle freedom through entrepreneurship. Kelly, welcome to the show.
I'm so happy to be here. Thanks for having me, Matt.
Likewise. Let's kick this off with what's your mission on this planet and what inflection point made you start your business?
I love it. My mission on the planet is to help people live a 1% life. So 1% joy, success, family, love, fulfillment, using their gifts, making great money. So it's bringing together vocation and purpose and values to make what you feel on the inside be reflective in your outside world. That's my mission.
Wow, that is very convincing. And what was the inflection point that made you really start focusing on exactly that mission?
You know, it was exactly that, right? So I had massive success in the corporate world. It's where I learned business. I absolutely loved the work that I was doing. I was coaching and teaching and training and building teams and really driving business forward. And I loved the work. I did not feel that I was connected to purpose in being able to move people and their families to build legacy and to live this 1% life that I'm talking about. And so it was never my dream to be an entrepreneur. It was never my dream to teach people how to grow businesses. But it just so happened that that vision kind of took over me. And I had to do it, right? I had to go out in the world and figure out how to use what I had learned to change people's lives. And that's how I got here.
Clear. Before we move on, so in your previous life, just real quick, what did you do before?
Yeah, so I started in the most entry-level job in the Fortune 500 world. I was doing sales, I was doing recruiting, and I started as an individual producer. And very quickly, within like a year, I was tapped on the shoulder and asked to move into leadership and management, which I did not want to do, by the way. I was loving making great money and having fun and having success. And, you know, my leadership team, my manager said to me, you know, Kelly, like, you're never going to understand the exponential growth that is possible when you learn how to stop relying on yourself and start generating results through other people. And so I started down this journey of learning how to get results through others and how to duplicate and multiply. And I went from being an individual producer to hiring my first person to building a team of 100 people and ultimately managing 17 locations. And that's where I learned everything that I teach today. You know, I was very, very lucky to have over 10 years of building businesses within someone else's business before I started building my business and then eventually teaching other people how to build theirs. So, yeah.
That makes total sense. And it's a great segue to talk about today and your offer. So if I were a typical client of yours or prospect, what's that core offer that I would buy?
Yeah. So we teach people the first starting point is really empire builders, which is where we teach people how to put a sales and marketing system in place for their business that allows them to acquire customers at scale. Right. Because that's the first thing. You have to conquer that. Once you conquer that, you understand market to message, message to market. You know how to acquire customers at scale. You know how to package, price, and position correctly. Then, of course, you have to move into systems, right? You have to move into processes and SOPs and metrics. And then you have to move into really how do you build a championship team? And we lead people all the way through that process from the initial building stages all the way through. Okay, now I'm building a business that I want to be able to exit one day. And, what does that look like? But the first starting point is empire builders. And that's all about getting the system for your go to market strategy in place that you're going to be able to duplicate and replicate consistently.
Okay. And how does it look like? Is that an on-demand course, group sessions, one-to-one?
Yeah, we're super high touch. So, I have 6 companies in my portfolio. The business advisory is my first business. I've had it since 2012. We are an extremely high touch coaching and consulting organization. So, although we have hundreds of customers, every single customer is provided with one-to-one consulting that is fully custom tailored to their business inside of group programming. So everyone's following a curriculum, they're following a trajectory through implementing and installing the operating systems that we teach. But then on top of that, you have your own advisor that you meet with personally every 2 weeks to allow you to take that overarching strategy that you're learning, custom tailor it for your business, get all of your questions answered, make sure that the strategy is in alignment for you, your market, your life, your team, your family. And then we just see people go to the moon. It's absolutely unbelievable.
Clear. And let's say if I were to ask a few of your customers about like what specific value in your offering they're raving most about, what will they tell me?
Well, the first thing they're going to say is their growth, right? Obviously, that's what we're known for. People come to us in the market when they want to grow. Like that's the word. But then underneath of that, they would say the relationship with our organization, having trusted advisory, trusted mentorship, having, service and support that really goes above and beyond. And then I think they'll say, really it's the care more model, which is the central focus of our entire organization, which is not just plugging people into a system, but really taking into consideration what does their 1% life look like and how can we help them custom tailor their approach to building their business in consideration of those things. And I think that's really important, especially in today's market, because one of the biggest things that we hear from people that are leaving our competitors and coming to us is there's so much digitization, there's so much automation, there's so much like mass, scale strategy that's being taught and implemented that in a lot of organizations they've forgotten what the heartbeat of business is, which is their customers. And that's the thing that we've done well above everything else is remembering who keeps the light on, who pays our paychecks, what the centerpiece of the actual focus and why behind the business is. And I think our customers feel that and they see that every single day.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
Let's talk about prices real quick. So where does it start on the low end? Where does it end on the high end?
Yeah. So empire builders, which is typically the first step that people take, is $30,000. And then they elevate up into legacy leaders. There's builders in between, which is $40,000. And then legacy leaders is about $85,000
And that is per year, per month?
per year. Per year. Yeah. So they can pay on a monthly installment plan. And I mean, like I said, because I have a portfolio of companies, I have solutions for businesses from inception, just getting started, all the way to exit, right? So for a lot of businesses, they may not be at the level where they're ready to invest $30,000 in coaching, and we wouldn't want them to. You have to have a foundation in place to do that. So I have a totally different company called the Virtual Business School for that. And that's for early creators, aspiring entrepreneurs, and emerging entrepreneurs that really want to get those fast foundations in place. And you can get started in the Virtual Business School for $50 a month. $50 a
Wow.
month. And that's where we get to work with you before we work with you so that we make sure that when we really work with you, you're actually going to get a really big return on investment and see, the result of the work. So we've been really strategic in building out the relationship between our companies and our programs to make sure that there's a very precise market to match for entrepreneurs, no matter what their stage of business is.
If you think the creator economy is really interesting, then I got something for you. On milliondollarcreators.club, we actually created a database of all the creators out there, and you see not just their fans, followers, subscribers, but actually how much money are they making. So with that, we bring now transparency into the creator economy, and you really see how are the best of the best get their customers, price their offers, create their offer stack, get customers, which tools are they using, how will they grow and triple their business going forward. So if that's interesting for you, including lists of who makes the most revenue, who has the fastest revenue growth, who has the biggest audience, who has the fastest growing audience, who makes the most revenue per follower, and who has the most exciting offer stack from low end all the way to the high end, then go to milliondollarcreators.club and enjoy the data. Clear. What tools do you use to deliver the value to your clients, like Zoom, for example?
What tools do we use? Yeah,
Yes.
we utilize Zoom constantly. We're face to face with our clients nonstop. But we also use tools like Coach Accountable, which we've white labeled and we use inside our organization for our customers to measure and track their KPIs, their metrics, and their results progression in the program. That's really important to us that both us and them can see their starting point, their progression month by month, their growth quarter over quarter, and can coach them specifically, not theoretically, but to the actuals of what's taking place in the business. So we rely on that quite a bit. And then, of course, we use tools like HubSpot and Go High Level and, different mechanisms for marketing and that type of thing.
Clear. Just real quick before we move to the next section, take me on a timeline. Like, when did you launch the business as is today in the current with the current offer stack?
That's a great question. So what's interesting is the business advisory was my first company. It was called something different. It's been through many iterations over the years, of course. And at one point it was Kelly Roach coaching because I was the primary coach. I was the leading, force behind the business. Now I have an executive team and I have strategists and I have, a full built out, team that basically operates pretty autonomously day to day. And that's why we moved into the name that it is today, the business advisory. But these programs that we have inside the business advisory, empire builders, legacy leaders, legacy leaders started in 2016. And empire builders, as it's called today, it had a different name back in the early days, but it is just an iteration actually of a program that I launched, I want to say back in 2014. So
Okay,
we've been
wow.
kind of perfecting and iterating and scrubbing and building and altering it to really just refine what is the fastest, most efficient, most customer centric way that we can help people to get to result.
Clear. And how many paying customers do you have today in a typical month?
Hundreds. Yeah, I remember when I launched Empire Builders, which is our core program, it was me and three clients on a conference line. And I remember that day very, very clearly. And some of those clients are still with me today. One is in a different program in one of my other companies now. One is still in the business advisories, but hundreds now. And so it's been quite a evolution. Yeah.
Interesting, because it's called Million Dollar Creators. I also want to get sense of a revenue. So like, let's say if I take 300 customers, $30,000 to $85,000 a year, that's $2,500 to $7,000 a month, which is 5,000 on average, times 300 is 151.5 million a month, times 12, 18 million, just shy of 20.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's the thing about high ticket, right? You can scale to pretty big numbers without managing millions of customers. And we've actually, for me, we crossed over 8 figures back a couple years ago in the business advisory, and I did not want to actually take the business advisory into having thousands of customers, and that's one of the main reasons why I launched the other companies that I have today, because some of them are in business models that are lower touch models. The way that we do the work that we do in the business advisory, we actually don't really want to go much above like 500 customers, because we don't want to water down the integrity of the way that we deliver and replicate results. And also, I don't want to have necessarily coaches coaching coaches of coaches, if that makes sense. We really want to be the best in the world at what we do. And there's so many different ways that we can serve people. So that was a key consideration for me in developing the growth strategy for the business, is really, it's not acquire customers at any cost. It's really being thoughtful about how many customers we can and want to serve, at this very high level, and then how are we building these complementary satellite businesses and satellite offerings that can prepare people for that work for us, so that we make sure that if someone's spending $30,000, we want them to be able to have $1 million growth because of that time with us. We don't want someone spending $30,000 and making $30,000, right? So it's just, that became a very big focus point for me over the last couple of years, is making sure that the business really stands out from an integrity standpoint of the ROI that our customers are getting. Because again, I've seen so many changes in the market, and I think in a lot of instances that's kind of been forgotten. And so I think it's even more of an opportunity to bring that to the forefront.
Before we continue, there's one favor I would like to ask. If you enjoy what we do here and you enjoy the guests that we bring, please join Million Dollar Creators by hitting the subscribe button. And if you do, I'll make you a deal. I do everything in my power to make this show bigger and better for you. Do we have a deal? Enjoy the show. Yeah, makes total sense. I mean, customers need to have an ROI, and if it's 30x, then of course you will have referrals, you will have high lifetime values, and a
That's
very
it.
long-term customer relationship. Yeah,
That's
so it's
it.
the secret to the
That's
business. That
it.
makes sense. Hey,
Yeah.
you just spoke about growth, and also you made it on the Inc. 5000. 287 is pretty good.
Yeah.
Let's just look at the last 12 months. Today versus 12 months ago. How does the growth compare?
Yeah, that's really interesting. Last year was a really hard year, right? There were so many market changes and so many refinements that we had to make. I actually am in a launch right now, and we spent basically all of 2023 refining our own methodologies, the things that we're teaching to our own customers, to make refinements and adjustments based on the changes in the market, right, which are substantial.
Yeah, makes sense.
And, our first quarter of this year has been amazing across my companies. We acquired close to 400 customers, new customers in the first quarter of 2024. So it's been an amazing start to the year. But the reason it's been an amazing start to the year is we saw the writing on the wall in 2022 of how much things were changing. And we were like, okay, we need to really double down and invest on innovating and refining and changing. And we spent all of last year testing new strategies, refining the methodologies that we teach, making a lot of changes internally. And so last year was not a great growth year. Some of my newer companies had very big growth years last year. But
Yeah.
for my larger companies that were more established, it was much more of like a recalibration year of like, okay, we have to figure out growth again, right? In this new climate, in this new market. And now we're seeing 2024 is coming out of the gate, really producing the yield from that. But last year was tough. I mean, we had to make a lot of changes. Our customers had to make a lot of changes. I think everybody felt it, but it's exciting to see now. I am thankful for the investments that we made in innovation last year, because we're definitely seeing that pay off in the start of
Yes.
2024.
It was a shift from growth to profit, and now to like growth and profit.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, Real
Exactly.
quick, the highest price point, legacy, right? How much percent is that of your total revenue? Is that like 30% of people are in there?
Oh, that's a good question. I would say I don't have the exact number, but I'm gonna say between like 20 and 30%. Yeah.
Clear.
Mhm.
I think one more really, really short section where I think makes sense to talk about here as well, because you're like putting so much effort, high touch, you said, right, into
Yeah.
customers is the expenditure side. So if I were to speak to your accountant, what are like the big expenses? How big is the team? Where do you invest your money?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So our 2 biggest expenses are team and advertising. Absolutely. Right. And that's why you have to, if you're going to build a high touch organization, which I have some companies that are very heavy high touch, the coaching company, and we have a marketing agency, very high touch. Then I have a couple other companies that are more like subscription, membership, networking, course, that type of thing, very low touch, right? So they kind of balance one another out. But for sure, biggest expenses are advertising and people. And I think that if you are thinking about building a high touch organization, you have to have a really good monetization plan for your staff, because otherwise, and it's kind of speaking to what you were mentioning earlier, lifetime value, having a great referral system, making sure that your servicing team is focused on upsells, renewals, referrals, reactivations. That is essential, because otherwise your sales team won't be able to carry enough strictly prospect sales to be able to drive growth overall for the
Yeah.
organization.
Just real quick, like ballpark team size, is it more like 10 people, 50 people, 100 people,
Oh,
two people?
no, no. I think in the business advisory today, we bounce between like 18 and 20 people. Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Customer acquisition, lead generation is the next section. How do you get eyeballs, customer awareness for your offers?
So much. Well, live launch obviously is our primary method, and that's what we teach our customers as well. So the live launch is our number one above all else. But we do all the things, right? I release 2 new podcasts every single week. We send out very effective, high value email newsletters across all of my companies every single week. We do live streams. We obviously, I do guest podcasting quite a bit, which brings a lot of brand awareness and visibility that way. We do use funnels on the back end. We use direct application funnels. We use my books to drive consultations. So we have about 14 different methodologies that we use, top to bottom, for customer acquisition.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the funnel then from this awareness from all these different channels to making the purchase that the customer says, okay, let's do it?
There's a lot of different ones, to be honest. So, an example might be like when I go and I podcast, I'm a guest on someone else's podcast. Many times, instead of opting to say, opt into this thing, or, go follow me online, I just guide people to come and listen to my show. And so many times the direct path goes, I do a guest speaking appearance, they come listen to my show, they sign up for one of my launches, they become a paying customer. So, like, that's one pathway. But another pathway is like, we'll give away digital downloads of my book. And after they opt in for the book, they'll go through a qualification process. And then the people that are at a certain level or above will be invited to book a call with our sales team. So, like, that's another pathway. When we do a live launch, depending on the product price point, if it's a low ticket price point, we'll live launch and it will go direct to a sales page and they'll just buy. If it's a high ticket price point, they'll go live launch, consultation, application, close. So it's just different depending on the strategy, depending on the price point, for which offer.
Clear. Um, let's talk about the future real quick. Can you triple the business? I mean, you said you want to cap it at 500, but like still maybe you want to make more per customer. Let's say what strategy or tactic will get you massive growth in the next 12 months?
Yeah. So actually, we have a very specific strategy for doubling our revenue in the next, 12 to 18 months. And it's not solely focused on customer acquisition, because as I mentioned already, I'm not necessarily interested in going over 500. However, by adjusting the balance of what level of programming our customers are in, we can double our revenue without more staff, without more customers. So for us, this is why lifetime value and results generation in our Empire Builders program is really important, because our objective is to ascend people from empire builders to legacy leaders. So by simply just adjusting the percentage of revenue per program up through that ascension model, we have a great plan that will allow us to double our revenue without just burning the pedal through the floor on acquisition and high churn.
What's the biggest thing holding you back personally on that?
Well, always, I want faster speed and execution across the board. Always. I feel like, my capacity is always
Yeah.
outpacing the team. So I'm always looking to drive speed of execution.
Clear. Next section is a fast-paced section. It's called Favorite 5. You can answer in one word.
Okay.
Let's go. So what's your favorite business book?
Think and Grow Rich. And I know that's maybe not a business book, but it is a business book.
Yeah. It counts.
Yeah.
What's your favorite way to get inspiration or to learn and grow?
Reading books.
What's the favorite person that you're studying, your role model?
I don't have one currently. I'm looking
Yeah.
for a new one. I'm in the search right now.
What's the favorite online tool for building your company?
Podcasting.
Love it. What's the favorite city or place that you would love to live?
Delray Beach, Florida.
What's the biggest thing on your mind?
Legacy.
Makes sense. Personal section, real quick. How many hours do you work per week?
Probably about 50, I would say. Yeah.
Oh, sorry about that. 50. Okay. What's the situation? Married, single? Any kids?
Married, and I have a 10-year-old daughter.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And what's your age?
41.
Awesome. Final question. We also want to give some advice to the audience. If you could go back in time and have a conversation with your 20-year-old self, what's the best piece of advice that you would give to your younger self?
Start your business sooner. Absolutely. Start your business sooner. Take action.
Love that. That is Kelly Roach. She is one of the few female founders that really has built 8-figure businesses. She's a powerhouse. She has been featured everywhere, essentially. It's a long list. Very impressive. After leaving the corporate world, she built her own company, has since then built it up. There's different offers there, from empire builders all the way up to legacy builders. And it comes at 5-figure price points, low 5-figure to high 5-figure. If you can't afford that yet, there's a virtual version of that where you can get it in, test it all out, and then you can also at some point get the real deal. She's all about value, giving you ROI, 30x ROI on your investment. And her clients are raving about the growth that they're experiencing based on that. She's investing in customers ultimately paying the bills. So she's very customer centric. And with that philosophy, she has built a stellar 8-figure business. Kelly, thank you so much for being on the show and taking us to the next level and sharing your passion.
Thanks for having me.
That was Kelly Roach. You learned that it's possible to unlock the 1% life through entrepreneurship. So how can you unlock the next level in your business?